got shot at maybe 30, 40 times in my life. I might be scared of a gun, I might be scared of a bazooka, but men, I've never been afraid of men. I'm afraid of fly. So, every day I fly, I'm like...
We got a special guest in the building.
The icon living.
Fat Joe.
We had to see where we were gonna put the money at. My other brother turned around and told my brother, why are we even talking in front of Joey? He's a half brother. And that devastated me.
Hey everyone, I've got some huge news to share with you. In the last 90 days, 79.4% of our audience came from viewers and listeners that are not subscribed to this channel. There's research that shows that if you want to create a habit, make it easy to access. By hitting the subscribe button, you're creating a habit of learning how to be happier, healthier, and more healed. This would also mean the absolute world to me and help us make better, bigger, brighter content for you and the world. Subscribe right now.
The #1 health and wellness podcast.
Jayshetty.
Jayshetty.
The one, the only Jayshetty.
Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the place you come to become happier, healthier, and more healed. Today's guest is someone I've been listening to since I was a kid. Very, very grateful to have on the show the one, the only, someone who needs no introduction, Fat Joe. Joe, welcome to On Purpose. I'm grateful
what's up,
that
Jay?
you're here.
Long time coming, huh?
I know, this has been a long time coming. We did a short get-together connection
Somehow
during the
I feel
pandemic.
like we always knew we was gonna do this sooner or later. But it's an honor to be here.
No, I'm very grateful to have you here. Honestly, I grew up listening to you. I was listening to you this morning, getting ready for the show, just to prepare my mindset. But
that's a different Fat Joe than Fat Joe 2024. Sometimes I listen to my music, I'm like, yo, I can't even believe I was saying. Like it was
really.
Yeah, it was a different time.
What's your earliest childhood memory that has defined who you are today?
Wow. Just always being charismatic, always being, from the class clown to people always loved me. I always told great stories. And so when you growing up in hip hop, we used to always have this like mean bravado. Nobody talked to nobody, everybody, right? And so recently, I started telling stories in the last couple of years, and everybody's like, yo, wow, he's a great storyteller. But I always was this person. But unfortunately, hip-hop will have you put on this facade to where you can't even show people your true personality. So I think that's what I think coincides. It's just, I've always been this person since I was a kid, and the world's just getting revealed to the world.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why did you have to hide yourself? What was the reason for the mask?
Just hip hop was just really tough, man. When I grew up, it was, we lost Biggie, we lost Pac, you were a punk if you had security. Like they wanted to see you go through it. Unfortunately, there was a big stigma in hip hop. Like if you didn't live it, then we didn't respect you. And so you have to live this thing out. And the last thing you want to show people is that you're a cool, funny dude that gets along with everybody, actually loves everybody. So you had to keep that tucked away just for your family and your friends.
But even when you were younger, you were bullied, right? You went through bullying, and then I believe there were even
I became a bully. So it's like you become a product of the product. And so, when I was young, I was getting bullied because I never been a punk. I never been, so if 20 guys confronted me, I fight all 20 of them. They'll beat the crap out of me, but I always was that.
What were they bullying you for at that time?
Man, it was just too much. Like, so I grew up in a 90% black neighborhood. So the way to explain this to you is the only thing not black about me is my skin color. So my family were there 40 years before me. So when they brought me home, it was like that was Joey. And so I grew up in that neighborhood my whole life. And so, that's how I grew up. And then I went to my grandmother's neighborhood that's like 99% black, but they never seen a Latino like that, looking like the Beatles with blonde hair and green eyes and acting like, and saying, just coming like, that was a problem. Like they had a real problem with that over there. They were like, yo, we're not going for that over here. But I am who I am. So I've always been me. I've always been true to who I am. So I had a lot of problems, and so, bullies, when one gets away with it, then another guy tries. It's not necessarily that they're tough. It's just to say, oh, they beat him up. Oh, we could beat him up. And then, you're just the guy they beat up. And I kept telling them I'm not a punk. I kept telling them. Every time they beat me up, I was like, yo, I'm not a punk. I'm letting y'all know. Y'all just got the numbers right now, And so I used to get beat up for a lot of things. I used to lie a lot when I was a kid. So I would say stuff like, yo, I was with that girl. Her brother would come with 5 guys and be like, oh, you with my sister? Beat me up. So I remember I had a time I had to look in the mirror when I was a teenager and just be like, yo, you lie a lot, bro. You got to stop. Like, you got to you got to keep it real because you're getting beat up because of this. And so, life, journey. It's a journey. This the journey. Everything leads to the next chapter in life.
Yeah, it's amazing wherever you grow up, just how much bullying is the norm for kids. Like even where I grew up, I was bullied for the color of my skin because there weren't that many Indian people in the area that I grew up in. And I was bullied for my weight because I was overweight growing up. So I was bullied for that. It's amazing how like kids find a way to make other kids' life hell, even though we hope that
what's crazy is not criticizing the youth of today, but when I see stuff like bullying and they, kids kill themselves and because they're getting body shamed or whatever, I just don't understand. Like, do you know what levels of bullying I've been through? And I never once thought of killing myself. I never once, I just knew it was something we had to work our way through. And so, I don't think there's never a time where you kill yourself. I don't think there's never a time where you just say, yo, I want to kill myself. I don't know how that comes about. And so, with bullying, it was, we've been getting bullied in the house, from my father, from my family, we've been dealing with a lot of pressure and trauma and your father comes home, he lost all his money gambling, drinking. He's going to treat you like shit that day. You know what I'm saying? So, but we don't know that. And so we had to work through all that. We had to learn all that. So now when I see my kids or other people's kids complaining about something, I got beat up by 20 guys every single day for 2 years straight. So, and I never once went home and told my mother, I can't do it. So I don't
Why do you think
relate.
that is? Why do you think that you had that tough skin, that resilience?
No, it was hard, bro. It was hard, but it was something you had to deal with. You had to go to school the next day. You had to go outside the next day. You had to this is where you at. You're in this environment. You're either going to be predator or prey. And so, I was always the loving, nice person I am. And then my skin got thick. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna be the tough guy. I'm gonna be the bully. I'm gonna show them I'm not gonna care. And then things changed. And thankfully, hip hop came and saved my life.
You said you had to, in those early days, make some life and death choices.
Now, I got shot at maybe 30, 40 times in my life. And I know somebody like you or some of my friends, they can't even understand that.
No, for sure.
And so, I tell people these stories now, and now they think I'm just lying. I just make it up. But the truth is the truth. And so you could imagine, I was one of the toughest kids in the neighborhood. I was always into something, and I was very aggressive at getting money. I'm very aggressive at getting money. I was in 6 states this week alone. So I'm like, I've been like that since I was a kid. So, once in any neighborhood, if you hear about dangerous places, it always has to do with money or with drugs or with, and so that's what you say, yo, that place is so safe. Yeah, but, they killing people. Why? The drug game, to this, to that. So I've always was aggressive, and once you show people you want money and you want bigger things and you're willing to do whatever for it, it becomes more dangerous,
What were you doing for money at that time?
Well, I was hustling. I was No different than the movies you see. Like I was a guy they would hire to go beat people up. Like that's how I started in the game. And so they'd be like, yo, Joe, you
And
know.
how did they recruit you for something? Like, what?
They
Like,
knew,
genuinely
they
walk
know
me through
that
that. Like,
these
how does it?
guys are bad guys and you could pick them up. So you're a drug kingpin. You're not necessarily tough like that. But you know, Fat Joey and them, they get busy no matter what. And so, you know, you come and you say, yo, Fat Joey, I got 3 pairs of sneakers for you. You know, a jacket. You know, I need you to go beat my competition up. So I would just jump out of van and you know, and just, you know, apply the pressure.
Were you ever scared?
No. That's one thing God never made me was scared of men, right? I might be scared of a gun. I might be scared of a bazooka, but men, I've never been afraid of men, you know, physically, whether it was 1, 20, 30, 40. I've just never been afraid of men, you know, of violence or physical, you know. Yet and still I ain't get grabbed by the cartel or some shit like that. You know, that's it. But I've never been afraid of men. You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid to fly. So, you know, every day I fly, I'm like, I'm the biggest, I'm grabbing the old lady next to me. You know, I'm the guy, I take all 3 air conditions when I'm flying, I grab all the 3 and I got it on me and I'm breathing, I'm doing breathing exercises. You know, I'm terrified of flying.
Yeah.
And I fly all the time. And I just tell God, I say, God, thank you for letting me face my fear. You know what I mean? Because I'm able to, you know, I don't think if I flew, I would be as successful as I am. So, and I love going places. I would love to go to India, Africa, this, that. It just don't like the journey, the plane flight. Once
After
I'm
all
there, I'm
these
like,
years.
yo, this is it.
After all these years.
Yeah, still.
Still, yeah.
Every day, I fly maybe every other day, and it could be I remember one time I get on the flight with Khaled, and Khaled got this plane, like, you know, Khaled does everything another level, you know? So his private plane, it was white, everything, the ceiling, the floors, the couches, the ladies, the flight attendants, they were so polite. This was the best flight you could ever take. We went up, we felt a little, I was like, it could have been American Airlines. It could have been any other plane. I was like, all the white, all the fancy food, everything went out the window. I was like terrified. And so it's something I can't get over.
Yeah. With going back to that time that they're giving you a jacket, they're giving you 3 pairs of sneakers, saying, go and take care of this. How long does that continue for? And
Man, that continues because I was, we were really tough. I won't say just me, but we were really tough. And, but I like I said, you know, when I grew up in the Bronx, it looked like bombs exploded in the Bronx. It looked like Ukraine. No exaggeration. Look it up. 70s, 80s in the Bronx. And so, but I always had ambition to be successful, to have more. And I remember talking to a friend of mine. His name was Louis. We was like 12 years old, and I'm looking at that rubble, and I'm saying, yo, this ain't for me. I got to get money. I gotta get me a Mercedes Benz. I gotta get me a that. And he's like, what are you talking about? We've been so poor, generational, that he couldn't even fathom. You know, nobody in my family was rich like that or nothing like that. So he was like, what are you talking about? We straight. I was like, nah, I gotta get it, you know. And so it's almost like a movie that, you know, you got these guys that, you know, you just come pick up when it's time. And so I would go and you know, for me, it was by any means necessary to get money. And so I would do whatever, but also knowing I want to be the kingpin, not the guy they come get to beat people up. And so one thing led to another, and you know, we became big boys in the street, you know, before rap. So hip hop saved my life, you know, changed my whole life like a Cinderella movie. Like it was like the minute I got my record deal, I never hustled again. I never dealt with crime. I never went back there. It was like a Cinderella Robin Hood. The minute I got my deal, I was like, yo, I don't want nothing to do with this. I walked away from it, started rapping, telling my story through music, and here we are. You know, I just knew when I got into hip hop and I got into the rap game, I said, all right, this is it. This is the way out.
Yeah.
And, you know, no different than any other business. You know, at one time I had the #1 record, Flojo, in 1993. It was the #1 record in the country. I was getting $500 a show. So I was doing 3 shows a night. You know, you know, that wasn't no money. You know what I'm saying? But I had to do what I had to do to get my money. And so, you know, so that wasn't even easy. So now you in the game and you step in and it's almost like half the battle. And I was like, yo, how do we find the money in this business?
Yeah.
Because at that time, it was no money in the business.
Yeah. That's crazy to think that in, 30 years, it's changed so much financially.
I think, I don't want to say for a fact, but I think LL Cool J was headlining arenas for like 10,000 a show.
Wow.
And this is arenas. This was like Madison Square Garden and all that. So it was like, you know, the money wasn't there. So, you know, back in the days, the only way to explain it to you, back in the days, Magic Johnson was the first player to get $1 million a year. He made the cover of Times Magazine. He was in every it was the biggest talk. Now you got the 15th guy on the bench making $240 million. The disparity is crazy. You see a rapper now or a reggaeton artist or one of them now put out one hit and they're making $400,000 a show for one song, and you're like, yo, this is crazy. I done toured, forget a Chitlin circuit. I done went around the whole moon for $500.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's a different time.
Yeah. I was going back to your movie analogy. I feel like in the movie, the streets always try and come back for the person who tried to move away. So when someone goes, okay, I'm done with this business now, I'm gonna
it's like
go
a shadow.
Yeah.
And so with my life, it was like that too. And I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I'm more successful now than ever, but that's because I'm much more mature. And so, you know, growing up in the ghetto, you have survivor's guilt. And so my community, you know, took care of me. The only reason why I'm still here is because of them. So I had a very big obligation to try to bring everybody with me. You know, I got rich young, and I would have 50 guys with me at every time. I would literally come to your interview right now with 50 guys, 50 trucks, 50 cars. That means 50 steaks, 50 champagne bottles, 50 hotel rooms, 50 plane tickets, this, you know, every day.
How do you afford that?
You don't. And so what happens is, you know, when you're young, if you look at the cartoons, they're telling kids $1 million. That's almost like you could capture a cloud, right? Like $1 million is like you could take a cloud and put it in a bottle. $1 million. And then when you get $1 million, you think it's like this can't run out, but it runs out. And so for me, I remember going broke about 3 times in my life, like literally broke, being like a #1 rapper, #1 hit. Everybody's, what's love? But I'm like, and I'm just doing foolish things and I'm just trying to take the whole neighborhood with me. And I remember that one time, I tell this famous story, but I'll tell it to your audience. I remember one time I couldn't sleep. And now I know when I can't sleep, God has given me a message. So that's a fact. Like that when I could sleep all the time. Right? But when I can't sleep, there's something that I got to figure out, dissect or whatever. God is telling me, yo, hold up, figure this out. You know, because us, you know, we in the public light, we got to watch what we say. We got to, you know, this is a very, you know, I don't get high. Everybody, I encourage you to smoke weed if you want, cannabis, you could drink whatever. I don't. And in my life, with everything that's been thrown at me, it's almost like the Matrix. If I got high, I'd have been out of here a long time ago.
So you never did it?
No.
Wow.
So the way this thing comes to me is like, you know, they throw so much things at you, like whether it's family, whether it's business, whether it's this, whether it's that. It's this, to be successful in 2024 is like the Matrix. You know, you're doing this. It's like, whoo, we dodged that one. What about this one? What about that? Imagine I'm high. I'm over here like this, doped up. I'm done, right? And so that was back in the early days. The reason why I never got high was because I had so much violence and beef with other guys that I knew they were gonna kill me or something. Like if I was standing on the corner high, smoked out or something, I was done. And the thing is, nobody has a PhD or a master's in hip hop music.
Yeah.
It's actually whose crew is toughest. So every rapper you meet, they'll come up and be like, yo, hi. Let's just say I'm fabulous. Yo, this is my man, just came home for 20 years. He did 3 murder, that. Oh, how you doing? Yo, this is Jadakiss. Yo, what's up, Jadakiss? Yo, this is my man, Johnny the Button. Just came home for 25 years for killing 5 people. I mean, that's what it is. And so I don't care. We got do it with Drake. We could do it with all of them, right? And so you don't need a PhD or a master's to get in hip hop. So I'm leaving the streets trying to come in here to change my life. And then when I come in here to change my life, I realize the streets come back, the shadows, and then everybody want to know, are you really tough? Are you really that guy, Fat Joe, that you talk loud? You just prove to us that you really get busy. And so the streets is always with you. Now it's more like, now we totally, talk to my security, argue with my security. He's an ex-cop, deal with him. Oh, this stuff doesn't even bother me no more.
Yeah.
So you got to get to that place. Spiritually, you got to get to that place where you feel like you know what your job is in life, you know what you're trying to do. You want to live righteous. You want to help the people. You want to help your family. But all that outside noise doesn't even bother me no more. I've had some of my friends that I had for years go on YouTubes and blogs and talk bad about me and this and this. I'll be like, oh, him too? It just rubs off me now. Doesn't even affect me.
Yeah. When you were younger, one of the things that did affect you, I believe, was your half brother, you realizing that you weren't biologically family.
No, it wasn't my problem. It was like we grew up together. So I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I grew up. My father came from Cuba, and my father got with my mom's after she had a husband and had 3 kids. So I'm the last kid, but he raised my brothers and sisters, and we were raised as brothers and sisters to this day. Brother, not half. We never heard the word half. We had a brother. So me and my brother, we were, partners in the streets, right? So, me and my brother Angel, and then my other brother Raymond was supposed to be a lawyer or whatever the case may be. He was going to school for that. And then when we was hustling, we had a choice to make, right? And so the choice to make was that we had made all this money. We still lived in the projects. We had tons of money in the closet, right? In the affordable housing projects. So we had to see where we were going to put the money at. We wasn't that smart. We wasn't sophisticated. We didn't know about buying businesses. We didn't have accountants. We didn't have nothing. The most we had was cars and jewelry. And so my one brother said, yo, leave the money with me. And I said, and I ain't think nothing of it. He's my brother. I told my brother Angel, I said, why don't we leave half the money with him and you go to Orlando to my aunt who's 90 years old. She wouldn't even know she had millions of dollars in her attic, right? And I said, split it up. You don't want all your eggs. Not saying that this. And so my other brother turned around and told my brother, why are we even talking in front of Joey? He's a half brother. And that devastated me. The tears just can't. I never heard that before. So my brother Angel argued with him, was like, you crazy, Joey's my brother. The irony to that story is that day it was Thanksgiving. The whole family, we never had much or whatever, but what we always had was love and family to this day. So I got in the car. I had a Mustang 5.0 at that time. I went to, it's in the book of Jose. I went to a place in the Bronx called City Island, to where there's one way in, one way out. And so I was just driving 100 miles per hour, and I just felt like I was gonna run into a wall or something. And then at the last minute, I spun out. I was actually thinking of killing myself. I spun out, I said, that. Then I went and ate me a nice steak. You ever ate at the Seville, Rich? There was oh my God, they had the best steaks with the best onions. No, I had the best meal that night, right? Old school joint, man. And so eventually I wrote it in the book, but didn't really actually say it, that my brother, the feds came and locked everybody up, like 40 of us. Not me, I was rapping already. Thank God rap saved my life. But when they did that, my brother was on the run and he was calling my other brother, yo, send me money. He was in like Dominican Republic and my brother wouldn't respond. So my brother flies back and the brother who called me the half brother spent the millions of dollars. We didn't know. So he came and said, yo, what's up? I'm on the run. I need the money. And he's like, yo, I spent the money. We like, you spent the money, millions of dollars? Like, you spent the money. And it wasn't like lavish. You ain't see no Lamborghini out there or nothing. Like, it's like, how you spent the money? And so the concept of us growing up was always, if my brother had it, I had it. So my brother was the boss. I made some dollars, but he made the real money. But I knew if my brother had it, I had it. It's the same concept we have with Terror Squad today. If Joe got it, you got it. You can't take advantage of it, but he'll help you at any given time. You know, if I got it, you got it. And so my brother stole the money. I never talked to him for 25, 30 years. I never talked to him again because my brother, not only did he steal the money, my other brother, Angel, started using drugs because he went from being rich to being broke. And I used to tell him all the time, yo, Angel, I'm rapping. I'm going to take care of us. Don't worry, I got us. But he just fell in deep depression and started using drugs. And, you know, to this day, my brother, he'll be looking around the room and he'll be like, I used to have money. I used to have it. You know, these people kill themselves in Wall Street. They jump off the roof. They jump off of bridges. They hang themselves when they lose all their money. When you used to that type of money, millions of dollars, you know, and your own brother, your own blood steals that from you. So he had a lot to deal with, and I kept putting him in drug programs. I kept begging him, like, June, come on, I'm good. Like, come on, we're gonna be good. But he couldn't get over that, even to this day. But he's not using drugs no more, thank God. But you know, if I had him, you know, mind, sound, you know, he's smarter than me. So if I had him with me through my whole career, you know, we'd have been better off than we are now, you know, because he was really the leader. He was really the smart one. And so, but he couldn't snap himself out of that.
Yeah. How hard is that, watching someone you love, someone that you trust, someone that you know could have been this and had this potential, and then not seeing them be there with you through it all? How do you deal with that?
Well, you know, my best friend on earth is in jail. He's doing 48 years. And he's been in jail for 33 years. And I often think about, like, tonight I'm going to the Knicks game. I know for a fact they're going to put me on TV. God bless. I'm on courtside sitting next to Spike Lee, high-fiving Spike Lee. My brother got to see that in jail, in the feds. But how do you think he feels? That he's in jail, my best friend, and he knows that if he comes out, Fat Joe got him. He's right here with Jayshetty. He's driving the best car. He's living the best life. That's what you call suffering, when you can't do nothing for it. And the same thing with my brother, you know, but, you know, my brother had a chance, you know, and so what I can tell you is that drugs is an illness. It's highly addictive. That's why I never tried it, because I might like it. And so that's why I've always stayed away from drugs. I looked at my brother and said, damn, man, he's smarter than me. He could have been way more than me. And you know, he couldn't shake the drugs. I don't even want to try that. You know, I'll tell you a story for your audience. I had a girl I used to chase for maybe 10 years. I used to chase this girl. Hey, what's up? Yo, beautiful girl, right? And one day she said, tonight's your night. And I said, oh, wow. Really? I'm going to get it? Like, you know, I've been after you. Yes. But you know, Joe, I know you don't use drugs. But tonight, to make it special, we're going to take these pills together. And I said, huh? She was like, we're going to take these pills. I said, I'm not taking them pills. She was like, no, but this is going to be amazing. This is it. You don't understand sex with these pills. I said, and I was after this girl. And I was like, you ain't getting me to take the pills. And so nothing happened.
So you walked out.
Nothing happened, brother.
God, she must have felt that rejection. I was like,
I don't care about rejection. It's just I know too many stories. Good friend of mine, not to put his business out there, but he talks about it. Scott Storch, one of the most talented people in the world. Like I owe him a lot of my career to Scott Storch, but he tried it one time, and that was it.
Wow.
He tried. He was with two girls, real famous girls. If you know the real story, the best movie ever made that hasn't been made is the Scott Storch story. If he lays the goods out, is we need Leonardo DiCaprio to play him. Like there's gonna be one, but he had two famous girls, and they were like, "Yo, you want to be with us? You got to sniff this cocaine off of." And he did it. He said that he literally told me the minute he sniffed it, he was like, euphoria. Like this is and this whole life up messing with that. Now he's doing better. But he ran through like $90 million getting high,
Wow. Yeah, because he was the guy then. I remember he was producing for everyone.
He had like 85% of number one songs of one year.
Yeah.
Beyonce, Fat Joe, 50 Cent, this. He was in Sean Paul, this. Everything was him.
Yeah, I remember.
And so, he took a hard fall, I love Scott, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for Scott.
Yeah, no, it's, and that's the hard part, right?
And I tried with him. I tried to get him off drugs. Oh, yeah. I'm, in many places, I'm considered the fun killer, because I would come and they can't get high. Scott Storch, I'll tell you, he used to sniff kilos of cocaine, but around me, he never sniffed coke in his life. He had that level of respect. So I would go there every day and just sit there like a thorn on the side for months and just be like, making sure he don't get high. They said the minute I walked out the door, they were like, bring it out. Right? They hated me in the place, but, I tried,
Wow. I mean, we're talking about losing people while they're still alive, and that is a real loss. And then you've lost people who have actually lost their life, who are no longer here. You've lost three, I'm sure you've lost more than this, but three very significant people in your life. Can you tell us what was significant about the loss of each? Because I feel like they're different types of losses, but they're all in the same year.
First of all, same like week.
Same week? Oh, there was months. I didn't realize.
Yeah, like 2-3 weeks apart, everything. I'll start with my sister. My sister was like my best friend. She was supposed to be the one to be there for me. We love our wives and we want them to always be there. But one person I do know, O.J. Simpson died, recently. And they said the only people who used to go see him every day was his sisters. That's when the whole world turns off the lights on you, your sisters will be there for you.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
So I lost my sister. She was giving childbirth. And so they gave her an epidural instead of numbing her from the waist down and numbed her from the waist up. Lack of oxygen to the brain. So she was in a coma for 8 months. And that was killing me to see my mother and father every day there. And we was there. And that's horrible. I wish nobody gets to see someone they love like that. And when I got the call she died, it was almost a relief. And I don't want to say I'm happy my sister died because that's not true. But she was suffering too much. And so my sister passes away, right? So that's the number one, right? I used to think this guy was the number one because I love him so much. But really, over the years, really analyzing it, my sister really knocked me out the box, right? Just to not have her in this world. Then one of my best friends, my artist, one of the most loyal guys is Big Pun. We made history together. And together, being Latino in this music business, we stood for so much, and even though I was on before him and I was on my way to success, I took the back road for him because I knew he was so much more talented and I knew we needed a guy like that. And years later now, 30, 20 years later, we still hear his music and feel that pride. I knew that at the time. And so he passed away young around the same time as my sister, maybe a week, 2 weeks apart. Now I'm young, I'm 27, 28, acting like I know about the world, but I'm still really, really young. And so, how scared it is to lose a best friend, franchise player. Here you went from being this broke kid living in this danger zone into, being successful, being rich. And now the guy you did it with is dead at 27, 28 years old. And then my grandfather, you know, and I analyzing my family tree, I'm more like my grandfather than anybody.
Oh, wow.
You know, I used to call him cowboy. He had a lot of respect in the hood. So my grandfather died. So all that together it was like a perfect storm, you know, and I never dealt with so much death like that. And so, you know, I was really in a dark place. I'm not talking about a regular dark place, you know, sleeping in the bathtub with no water running. If I looked outside and it was sunny, it looked dark. You know, if someone shoots you, I tell people all the time, you in a gang, say you're in a gang in Chicago and they trying to kill you. You do know you can move to Alabama and no one would know you. You could move to LA. You could move to New York. You could move anywhere and they won't know you. The problem with depression is it comes with you wherever you go. So at the time I'm in depression, I'm going to Miami, I'm going to islands, I'm going to try to erase it, but I can't. It's with me everywhere I go. And now, you know, when people say, let them mourn, that means like give them time, let them get their things together, their bearings together. But when your best friend who just died is the biggest rap star in the world, people think they're doing a good thing, a good deed. So they bring you your food. Yo, sorry about your brother, Big Pun, man. Yo, that was my man. Once again, it's back.
Yeah.
And then I'm in a car waiting at the light. The next up, yo, Pun, he was the man. They start blasting. So it was so hard, right? And I considered myself to be a bright person. And so it's the only way to put it is like the mind's like a super complex Rubik's Cube. And you just gotta, and so I never thought of, I'm gonna kill myself or this. I just was like, Joe, you gotta get out of this. You gotta get out of this. It's like a funk. And you wake up and it's a new day. Instead of just saying it's a new day, you know, you go back to, oh, you know this. And then it's so I went to therapy.
Is that the first time you started going to therapy? Was that?
That's the only time I went to therapy. But I went to therapy for like 2 years. I didn't tell nobody. And this woman really, really helped me out. And her strategy, I guess therapists are all different. Her strategy is you figure it out for you. Like tell me about you. And then you just go there all the time and you tell her about you and then you figure it out. You'll figure out what happened. And the one thing that happened to me was we would do this mural in the South Bronx for Big Pun. So, you know, I started out a graffiti artist and shout out the Tats crew. So every year they would they would change the mural for Pun. Rest in peace, Pun. So I'm out there, it's 2 years has gone by, and 2 dudes walk by. I always say I owe these guys so much money. And one dude was like, yo, what they doing? He wasn't from the neighborhood. He was like, that's Big Pun, boy, they change it every year. He said, they change it every year? It's been that long? He was like, yeah, it's been 2 years. And I swear to God, in my brain, all I heard was 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. And then something in my mind told myself, like, yo, Joe, you've been beating yourself up for 2 years. You got to snap out of it. That same night, boom, I was back to the way I am now.
Wow.
You know, just 2 years, Joe. You try to kill yourself. For 2 years, you've been beating yourself up. Maybe you could have did something. Maybe you could have lost weight. Maybe you could have helped your sister. Maybe you could have, you know. And so you go over beating yourself up. So, you know, it finally was done 2 years. And I run away from dark thoughts and depression. Like now I don't even get in the area. If I ever feel something like that, I'm running the other way. See, people walk to it for some reason, you know, but me, I run away from any type of dark times, any type of dark moments. I move on.
Your sister, if she could talk to you today, what do you think she'd say?
She'd be proud. But she also was very supportive and simple. But, you know, she knew her brother had her back. She'd call me any time of the day, any time of the, you know, bro, I need money. That car be outside her window in 5 minutes. Like, yo, come down. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? So she know I always had her back. You know, the only thing I would say, the only regret my sister had with me is I used to beat up her boyfriends. And so that was like a major problem, like for real though. If a guy came to visit my sister, I would sit there with a baseball bat while he's sitting on the couch with her, and I'm looking at him, and she always hated me for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know that you know, I'm just telling you what she wasn't feeling me on that tip right there, because I'd be like, you know, yo, you ain't gonna do that to my sister.
Yeah.
And so, you know.
Was that your younger sister?
She was older.
She was older. Okay,
she was older, but I was always, you know, I'm young, but I've you know, I'm the baby of the family, say, but always the leader. I don't know. It's just, that was me.
Yeah. I have a younger sister. I'm very protective as well. And I could relate to what you were saying about the love that you have for your sister. Like that
It's
kind
different.
of. Yeah, it's different.
The brother-sister love is a whole different, because she really got your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, nah, she got your back.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
I could
same-
do no wrong in my sister's eyes. Yeah.
She got your back. So when it's all said and done, you know, God forbid, hopefully you live with your wife till y'all die together. But if, you know, you ever go through something with your wife or something like that, the one woman that is going to hold you down is your sister.
Mm. And what about Big Pun, if he was to talk to you today,
Oof.
what would he say?
I don't know. You know, Big Pun, man, you know, he was so good. Like he was like a freak of nature, bro. He was a genius. You know, so I don't know. I know I try to impress him with moves I make and musically. You know, I've always been a real man. I've always been a loyal man. I always stuck to the code no matter what. You know, I never let Pun has this famous line in the record where he says, you know, I wear the crown and never let it touch the ground. So we never let the crown touch the ground. You know, we always kept that same, but I can't tell you because he was so much better than me. He was just like light years better than me. So he really actually taught me how to make hits, even though I discovered him. We would sit there, so he would scream at me like, yo, you're limited. You're limited. Keep thinking, switch it up. At the end, he was just so great that, you know, it was like I'm coming up and he's a Shakespeare or some shit. Like he was literally. And he would be like, no, you got to do it like this. No, like that. So I don't know. You know, I've had some anthems. I've had hits. I don't know if it was to Big Pun standards. 'Cause I'm telling you, he was asleep.
Yeah.
He had that thing, what is it, narcolepsy or something? Right? He would fall asleep right on you. Right? There's a true story. He would wake up and be like, pass me the book. And he would have a whole song. He would write it in his sleep. He would have a whole song, just start writing it. Yeah. Right. I mean, this guy was phenomenal. From the first time I ever heard him, I knew like this guy's like the greatest. He's the best.
Wow.
Like it was another level. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we were coming up listening to you, it was because of you that we got introduced to Big Pun. That's how we even discovered
then he was
him.
like,
yeah. That's how we even discovered who he was, because we weren't aware in London.
how was Big Pun in London? He was on fire out there?
Yeah, because of you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was the entry point for all of us. Like that's how we discovered his music.
Yeah.
But it was for the people who were like listening. Like it was for a real listener.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the masses.
It was lyrics.
It's for someone who was actually listening and was trying to understand the,
Beautiful time. I think my best time in hip hop music. You know what I mean? Just growing together, becoming the first soloist Latino to win, to sell 2 million records. Back in them days, you know, you had to go buy them records in the snowstorm. It was physical. It wasn't just streaming. And so we were so proud of him. And you know, he died so young, so that really devastated me. To this day, you know, the way the crew works is he's everywhere. So if you go in my house, you see Big Pun. You go in my businesses, you see Big Pun. You go in any one of the crew members' houses, Big Pun is up. You know, we never forgot him. You know, what's crazy is I throw this I'm gonna invite you this year. I throw a birthday party every year that forget about it. Whoever you think of is in there, right? Every year we have fun. So if you don't dance, you're not invited. We are dancing.
The good thing is I don't do drugs and alcohol, so that's good.
But you gotta dance, brother.
That's
you gotta
good.
dance.
We'll make that happen.
And so one year a reporter snuck in the party. We didn't even know. And so the reporter wrote for the Post, I believe. She wrote, I was in the party, it was amazing. This one, that one was there, this. She said they kept mentioning Big Pun every 30 seconds like he was alive at the party. And so I think you would be proud of that we make sure that, we represent him at the highest standard.
Yeah.
As a rap god, because that's what he is.
That's beautiful. The party, and I'm waiting for my Terror Squad chain as well. I've been,
those
are the two things I wanted as a kid.
That's an expensive. Everybody was waiting on that Terror Squad train. You
made us want it as kids. That was like the thing.
Still, I remember one day I had to give my chain to Drake off my neck.
Yeah.
Like I had it on my neck, and he was like, "Yo, man, I always wanted that." This. I was like, "Yo, man, here you go." But that's expensive.
That's a heavy thing to give away.
Oh, that's expensive to just. Everybody, you imagine how rich? Everybody wants a Terror Squad chain.
We used to go get the cubic zirconia one in down the road that they used to sell.
No, but these ain't cubic zirconia.
Yeah, I know.
And it be people I really love, and they be like, "Yo, I need that chain." I'm like, "Sheesh, man." You know what these chains cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, man. Have some, Terror Squad started out as a graffiti crew.
Yeah.
The guys who started it passed away, but before they got off graffiti, they gave it to me. I'll never forget. I was in the back of my projects. I was maybe like 13 years old, and I remember I made a pledge. I didn't know it was gonna be music, but it was Terror Squad. It's gonna be the biggest crew you ever seen in your life. And then I had my sister and her friends was like Terror Squad ladies. And we did this our whole life, and I hope when I'm gone it'll stick around with all our family members and all our friends. It means a lot to us.
Yeah. It's amazing to see you so, having gone through so much trauma, loss, and I think people underestimate how what you said, that journey of when you're from the streets and then you suddenly get $1 million through a talent that you have, and then it's like you don't know what to do with it, you don't know how it works.
Well, you know what to do with it and spend it, but you mean that we need financial literacy.
Yeah, financial literacy.
1,000,000%. We didn't know what to do with it with
even
that.
Today, like now when influencers, TikTok, Instagram, like people are coming into wealth so early in their life without...
And what they say, so that's a great question. I don't know if it's a question,
it is. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a question, yeah. I was just framing it up.
Who are we? This is the problem. Right? So Fat Joe is always open for advice. Young artists, you do it all the time. You can still do it. You can hit me in the DM. I'll talk to you. I'll give you advice. My advice is free all the time. But who are we to tell a young guy or a young girl who had nothing in life? Let's take a Sexy Red. Who are we to tell a Sexy Red who came from nothing and now she's making millions of dollars and she's enjoying it with her friends? It's just, who are we to tell her that she's wrong? Who are we to tell her anything? She made it. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that she made it coming from where she's coming from. So I can't talk down on them or tell them, yo, don't do that or whatever. Now, if you want advice, I'll tell you what I did, and I blew a lot of money. It's just now in life that I'm understanding, investments and taking care of my money and taking care of my family on another level. And I still have a problem with Louis Vuitton and Gucci and diamonds. And, I'm still attracted to the stuff, but still in all, I look at all these young artists, I can't tell them. Now if they ask me, yo, gee, what you think I should do? Then I'll sit down and be like, yo, go buy a bunch of Subways, franchise, go buy some Wingstops, go buy some McDonald's, something that you, because artists, the sad thing about hip hop is you could go from one day being the biggest artist in the world, getting 250,000 a show, and 4 years later, you're not hot and you're getting 15,000 a show. That's a big disparity. And so I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that, why they don't value the artists where the money value stays up, but that's how it is in hip hop. That's just a reality. And so many of us artists are driven off of our performance money, our show, our touring, that when something goes wrong like COVID, you in the house scared to death because you can't go out there and make no money. So you got to diversify. You got to buy businesses. You got to investments. You got to do different things so that money could come in through all different angles. And so that's something I learned at an older age. You know, invest in sneaker stores, invest in that, invest in this, invest in that. And so that way money comes in from all over.
Yeah, I think we have to learn from that hindsight, because even for me, when I started out as a creator, I could see YouTubers who, and YouTube's the same, right? Like 1 year it's amazing and then the next year it's not. And I saw so many people who came before me that were paying off their parents' mortgages 1 year, but then the next year they didn't have money to pay their own rent because it switches up so fast.
That's how it is.
And you just see that happen to people overnight, and it's painful because their intention was good. They were trying to take care of their family.
Of course.
But now it's like long term, they've lost out. It doesn't work.
Well, you know,
way.
we have a thing in Terror Squad. We always take care of our family.
Yeah.
And always take care of mothers and dads. You know, if your mother and dad wasn't rich or didn't have to take care of you, we take care of them.
Mm.
And so it's a great honor to look at my brothers and know that each one of them take care of their mother, take care of their father. You know, because we at this age, you know, if we 50 years old now, you know, they're 80 years old. So these times you got to really look out for them.
Mm.
And so I love a person that actually takes care of their mother, takes care of their father. Now, if they're wealthy or they have money at a time, great. Nothing wrong with that. But if they ain't got it, you know, I'm all for taking it. You know, I went through a tax problem one time. It wasn't really my fault, but I did. And the biggest thing I got scared of when they told me, you didn't pay your mortgages, you didn't pay your car notes, you didn't this. I had an accountant. I'm sending him wire transfers and he's robbing me. He's not paying my bills. But my biggest fear at that moment was like, oh my God, my mother's house? We didn't pay the mortgage for my mother's house? That would have been the worst thing that ever happened to me, for somebody to show up to my mother's house and throw out my mother and father. I cared about their house, and they live in a modest house. I care about their house more than mine.
Mm.
It's just me.
Yeah. What's that like when it feels like everyone's, like you're trying to take care of people, but then accountant, friend, people stealing from you? I mean, that.
Man, they stole from me a lot of times. What I realized is just not too many people can have access to money and not have the temptation of stealing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you learn, you know, I'm a very trusting person. You know, I'm a very trusting person. So, but you learn that these guys, they can't handle that. And so catching your best friend stealing from you, catching managers, catching accounts. We just caught an accountant now. We sued them with millions of dollars. And so now they got to pay back, you know, through the insurance or whatever the case may be. But we went through a lawsuit, forensic account. These people, you bring them to your house like they're family. You around their kids, like, and you know, and they stealing your money. And so, and you're so busy working,
You don't
trying
know.
to get to money, that you ain't busy watching, oh, I got $5 deposited in the bank. I got this and this and that. So it's like, you know, they prey on you when they figure out, oh, he ain't watching.
Yeah.
But everybody what comes out in the wash, what don't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse.
Yeah. Yeah. How hard is it to stay trusting and soft-hearted and a good person when these things are happening?
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
You
So
know
you're
what
going
I'm
to carry
saying?
on being that way because that's who you want to be.
That's who I am. A lot of times, you know, people done stuff to me, not just steal, but just where, you know, me and my wife have discussions and she's like, yo, don't change. You know, you are who you are. You can't let people change you. Because a lot of times we dread things and people do horrible stuff to us, and then you yourself could become that person. You know, and so we're not doing it. You know, I told you the story of I was bullied and then became the bully. And so we don't let people affect who our true morals and our true character is. You know, it happens, hurts you, move on.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, what we often judge in a person is who we become, because you're thinking about that quality in them so much that all of a sudden that becomes your reality.
Yeah.
Because you
and
repeated that
You
thought.
think like, yo, you know,
Yeah,
they did it to me, I'm gonna do it to somebody else.
yeah.
And it's just a cycle that you got to snap yourself out of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people you don't think that that's cool because you seen somebody do that.
Mm.
You know, you gotta say this is where. But that's how the story of my life is all about taking the negative and turning it into a positive, and stopping the years of being poor, not being successful, not going to another level of my family tree. From here on, I want to pass it down to my sons, my daughters, my grandkids, and give them that motivation to change that family tree. Because before me, everybody, were hard workers, but they end up being, poor, regular people. And so that's why I press on. That's why I'm in 6 cities in 1 week. That's why I'm like, it's not greed. It's just taking it to another level so that generations behind me could follow that example. I don't know if it's, I'm not telling you I got money to last generations. I'm telling you that I've given them that motivation. Where they can say, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, this guy, he worked 6 days out the week. He flew, he didn't like to fly, he flew, he did, just that, to change the whole mindset of our family tree before me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's powerful and needed, because I feel like if people are seeing, like, even you at your career at this stage, you're still working that hard. And that's what I see when I look at people in the industry that come on the show that have been famous for 3 decades, making money for 3 decades, and they're still working harder today.
There was guys like that. What's my man? Richard Simmons. It was guys that I wish I knew their names. Like, they used to have something called was it Family Squares or back in the days, where they would take these squares, like it's like tic-tac-toe, and they'll have your celebrity that been around for 30 years.
Oh, I don't know.
And damn, that's very famous in America. Like, now we got hip-hop squares, but Hollywood squares. So they would take Jay Shetty 20 years from now, and you be up there answering the question of this. So they've been doing this a long time.
Okay.
There's been celebrities that held on.
Yeah.
You'll always get a Danny DeVito Jersey Subs commercial or something. Like, these guys been sticking around a while.
Yeah.
And so that's Fat Joe. Till I'm out of here, I want to stick around. I want to bump into you on the red carpet. I want to that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you were talking about taking care of your parents. A big part for you is also taking care of, like you said, future generations. And I know that you're a father to a child who has Down syndrome, autism. And as far as I know, at least at the time, you were a single parent for a while, or maybe even...
Well, I'm a kid. Yeah. I was a kid. He was like 19, so me and his mother was together. Then we broke up. And there was this one rainy day. She walked up. We had some like makeup sex. She comes back. She says she's pregnant. I tell her I don't want to be with you, and she's like, no, this is my baby, this, that. So thank God we didn't have an abortion, but Joey's born, and it's crazy. He's born in the same hospital that my sister caught the coma in, Bronx Lebanon Hospital. So if I get shot, I'm going to another hospital. I'm not going there. Trust me. And so, the doctor comes and says, listen, we got bad news. I never forget that. And he sat me down and her, and she was like, oh, I can't raise this baby. We got to give him away for adoption. And then my mother and father just jumped in right at me. It was like, oh, no, this is our baby. Like, we're not doing that. And so we've had full custody since he was born. I got to thank my mother and my father for pretty much raising Joey. He's their kid. He's my kid, but he's their kid. My father to this day sleeps next to Joey, in the same bed, and now my father's older and Joey watches him. So Joey, if my father sleeps too long, whatever, Joey's in his wheelchair, he's watching my father. When my father's outside telling jokes, he's happy that he's telling jokes. He's a very smart kid, and we just say he's our biggest blessing. I feel like if I would have abandoned Joey, I would have never had the success I have. I feel like, it's hard to deal with a special needs kid, but they bring so much joy to the world. And if, me and you, we get sad, we get happy, we talking about depression. this guy's always happy. Like he's in a state of happy, you know. Sure, we want to, you know, if he could have talked, if he could have walked, you know, but, you know, like I tell you, part of my process of not being depressed, not being mad, not blaming God, right, is always saying, all right, dealing with this is what it is. We did it, and we got to look forward towards the positive. And so I never, you know, blame God. I never blame nobody. I just said, yo, this is what it is. We love him. He's ours. We're going to take care of him forever. We're going to make sure he's great. He's loved. He's happy. And so that's how we deal with Joey. And another thing, I never, you know, blame God for anything. You know, I accept the good and the bad. You know, my belief and my faith in God is legendary. And I believe that all our blessings come from God. You know, that's my true belief in my heart. And so just let your audience know that. You know?
No, that's beautiful. I mean, with Joey specifically, like what was the most challenging phase? And because I know you do a lot to also empower communities, raise awareness about this, because of course,
man, it's hard, you know, and then going back to the hip hop bravado, being tough. So for many years, I wouldn't let people see Joey or nothing like that because hip hop was so beef, problems. You know, I never wanted nobody to disrespect my son. And so, but, you know, we always, you know, had this loving relationship. You know, the bottom line is, you know, in life, whatever God throws at you or whatever they throw at you, you got to deal with it. You got to man up, you know. And I'm proud of the job we've done with Joey. He's just a beautiful kid, you know, and you know, he knows he's the Don. You know, when we go to dinner with my son and my daughter, you know, he sits at the corner of the table and looks at them like, this my little brother, this my little sister. You know, he knows that. So he's the biggest blessing.
That's beautiful, man. It sounds like, you know, again, I'm going back to what you said at the start of the interview was that the guy who made the music, the Fat Joe that made that music is very different to the Joe that I'm sitting with 2024. What are the biggest differences in What's Love, Lean Back, like all the way up? Like what's the difference between that and...
All I could tell you is that with every one of those songs you described, my back was to the wall. I was fighting for my life. The only way I knew how to make it was through music. And so I channeled this energy in this music. And thank God they became anthems and hits. But, you know, Fat Joe the person has always been different. You know, I've always been a family man. I've always been for my community. You know, before we had social media, before we had things, you know, I've been raising money for people. I've been giving back to my community, computers to schools, libraries. You know, I have a business in the Bronx now, a sneaker store called Up NYC. We have a school in the store where the kids come after school, they eat, they learn computers, they get mentored, I mean, we don't stop. You know, just last week we gave to Haiti, right, Rich? My best friend, Rich, is Haitian. So the turmoil and everything that's going on in Haiti, where kids are in famine, you know, and for some reason I feel like they don't get this awareness. I feel like they don't get this same love as anybody else. So we raised a bunch of food for Haiti and money. And so, you know, we've been doing this when the cameras is off, man. You know, I just feel so blessed that I'm able right now when I cut it with you, if I want to eat a steak or a lobster, I can eat it. Whatever I want, I can get it. I'm not feeling bad about that. I worked for it, you know, but I do believe in, yo, what about them? You know what I'm saying? What about taking care of the less fortunate?
That's
what
beautiful.
about providing for the people? So we've been like this forever. It's just now it's social media.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to see it though, because I feel like we were talking about, there are so many dark moments in your life. But even sitting with you for a few moments, I'm like, you have a light energy about you, right? Like, as in, light in the sense.
You know what's so crazy is there's this video going viral. I don't know why. Something here is going viral. I don't know what it is. You can't put a camera on Fat Joe and it just don't go viral. It's going viral.
I love it.
There's no way around it.
I love
right?
it. Helena loves the sound of that.
And so I did. No, it's going. I don't know what to tell you. Something's gone, right?
Yeah.
And so I did an interview maybe a year ago, right? And I remember I was tired. And the guy came up to me. I was in Vegas and I wanted to get some sleep. I flew. He was like, Fat Joe, man, I got a podcast. I want you to do it. And somehow I allowed him in my room, dead tired, and he interviewed me. And I told the story about one time when I was young, when I was in high school, I robbed my whole gym class. So I stuck up the gym class. It's like 70 students. He says, without a gun? I said, yeah, without a gun, I robbed everybody. In fact, the guys I robbed helped me carry the jackets and the Walkmans and stuff outside the school. I couldn't even carry. It was 70, but it was power tripping. It was like, see if I could do it, right? But in any case, I told this story. Right. And now all of a sudden, I don't know, yesterday and today, it's been viral mania. And everybody's like, oh, this guy's a liar. Like, I can't believe, it's that type of thing. But I looked at it today, this morning, when I got in the car, and I said, man, this is crazy. You believe this guy who tells this story raises food and money for Haiti just last weekend and gives back to the community and this and that? It's just such a contradiction. And so the Puerto Rico, we send £1 million of women's hygienes, food, water. When they had the hurricane, it was 4 airplanes we sent over there. Just last year, some Muslims from the Bronx, 17 of them died in a fire. We raised over $2 million for them. And so we just constantly, but me, it's like to the point out there, be careful what you wish for, because soon as something happened, they knocking on that door. And they're like, yo, Joe. And I'm like, all right, I'm with you guys. What we doing, man? How we raising the money? How we going to, how we going to make this happen? But I love that. I tell you a story.
Yeah.
One day I'm driving by myself and I'm in the Rolls Royce and I got to get gas and I pull over in the Bronx. That's where I'm from. You let me tell it, I'm the king of the Bronx. And so I go to the Bronx, I go to the gas station. I go in the gas station to get me a water. When I'm coming out, there's a homeless guy there. Now, this guy ain't homeless by choice. He ain't one of these hobos. He's homeless. All you want, he's a real, at wit's end, right? And so he comes up, he says, Fat Joe. And I said, could we curse on this?
Yeah, of course.
So he said, Fat Joe. And you fly motherfucker, you fly motherfucker, right? And he's dead homeless, right? He says, I don't want no money. I don't want no money. So I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's like, I just want you to know, a homeless man is the closest to the street. We know what you do out here for us. We know how you take care of us. I got so emotional that day driving home. I was like, but that's what it's about. When you got a homeless dude talking about, yo, I don't want no money, but I know what you do for us. I know how you take care of us. I'm like, wow, that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, I think doing good in silence is what real doing good is. Because, then you're really doing it for the people. Then you're really doing it for the people that you're serving.
I have a lot of friends, Muslim friends, and I'm Christian, right? But a lot of my best friends are Muslims, and they're very successful, but they have big hearts and they give back so much, and they never brag. They never say, I gave this, I never gave that, I never gave this. A whole different culture. And so, I've seen them, the way they move. I love how they move with how they give back to their community. And they're not trying to shame their community by giving back. They just, embrace them, give it, let's move on. Let's thank God that we can give back. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
You you got to thank God that he gave you an opportunity to give back. And I believe, I went to a funeral one time and it hit me. Well, I knew this before that, but it was Reverend Al Sharpton. He was at a funeral and he said, when you die, Nobody cares what car you drive. Nobody cares what clothes you had. Nobody cares what this. What they want to know is, what did you do for the people?
Mm.
And it resonated with me so much because it's like, what are you doing for the people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we happy for you. You're successful. You're living a great life. You this, but what did you do? How did you come back and give to the community? How did you come and change lives? How did you mentor people? How did you put people, give them jobs so that, you know, in my store, two of my three stores, I own two stores. Two of my stores, the managers are single parent mothers. One of them just bought her first house. And she called me one day, I get it, Joe, man. I'm so happy. I bought my first house. I know what you mean now, Joe, when you like, yo, you know, we doing this so you could change your life. So these impactful stories, they make the legacy.
Yeah.
They make everything. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Do you think hip hop's changing slightly when you look at like J. Cole apologizing after he got involved in the beef and then he stepped back and he actually said, oh, you know what? I was being an old version of me. That's not me anymore. I don't know if you saw that video.
You know, the biggest thing is just yesterday, you know, I had one of the biggest, most dangerous rap beefs with 50 Cent. I was sitting next to him in the game yesterday.
Yeah, the game, the Knicks
having
game.
the best time in the world. We're brothers. I get that.
Yeah.
But when you called out in hip hop, you got to respond. And so I'm a big fan of J. Cole, but it started from that. So I see he probably saw that they could get real messy and real ugly. And so he said, yo, you know what? This ain't me. I don't want no parts of it. But he definitely got a stripe off his, you know, whatever, he's a sergeant or whatever he is. The corporal, they took a stripe off for that because in hip hop, they call you out, you come out. You know, that's just what it is.
That's the sport.
That's the sport.
Yeah.
You got to come out. And a guy like him, he was a king.
Yeah, he's so talented.
You know, he's so talented. He's a king. So it was like, wow, Cole, you did that? But I get it. I get all scenarios.
Yeah.
He was mature enough to think past the lyrical beef and say, yo, this might turn physical.
Yeah. And also it felt like he was kind of like, that's just not the energy he wants to play in anymore. Like that's just not.
I'm not mad at him. But I'm just saying from a real hip hop artist, you know, I've been called out and I got to step up, even if I think the artist is a million times better than me.
Mm.
You know, it's crazy because I remember one time a funny battle was Everlast. You remember? I Jump Around, him and Eminem. And Eminem, I think, called him out, but he came out. Like Everlast said his rhyme, it was incredible.
Oh, wow.
And he moved, you know, you got to come out. You know, hip hop, you talking all this, somebody calls you out, you got to step out.
Yeah. So, interesting. So the sport is the sport.
So I love J. Cole.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of him. I get it from a mature standpoint, but also, you know, hip hop, you gotta bring the sword out when it's time.
Got it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Well, we were saying earlier that you were we were in the J-Lo movie together. You play this prominent role of being
therapist.
Therapist.
You in the movie too?
Yeah, I'm in the movie too. I play what am I? I forgot. What is it? I got the big horns.
A god or something.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot which one. I forget which astrological sign am I? I forgot. The one with the big Aries, maybe. Anyway, yeah, I'm one of the astrological signs, and you play the therapist. But it sounds like you've been on. Would you say you've been on somewhat of a spiritual journey, a healing journey across your life?
My whole life. I mean, God has had his hand on me. I've been shot at maybe 30, 40 times. There's times I deserved it. There's times I seen the bullet go like this, and I knew God was there. And so that's why you say, Joe, why you help the people? I mean, Jesus, man, this guy saved my life so many times. Like stuff that I was supposed to go down for and I never did. And so I'm like, wow, I'm just so grateful to God that I got to help the people. I got to spread the message. I got to say I'm faithful to Jesus Christ. That's my God, my Lord and Savior. And so, my whole life is a spiritual journey. And just me being a leader in my community, you know how many people's lives I saved? You know how many killers came to me and was like, Joe, could I talk to you? Man, yeah, homeboy dissed me, I'm gonna kill him. And I sat with them and literally, I tell you, I don't drink, sat with them all night and drank Hennessy with him to convince him not to kill that guy. And that guy never knew that I'm the guy who convinced this guy not to kill that guy. I don't even like that guy, but I don't want my friend to go to jail. So I'm like, yo, bro, here you go. Nah, that ain't it. Don't worry, God will deal with that guy. This. Usually, I'm serious. You know how many times
it's a different world.
I've been a therapist my whole life, talking people off the edge. I'm telling you, man, like, yo, you know, it's like, forget about it. I got a friend now, he's fighting cancer. Shout out Pretty Lou. It came back, it went away, it came back. Now he just got the thing. And then, you know, I got to go in there. You know, now I got to go. He says, you're on the list. You, beside my wife, you're the only person in the world on the list. He got hundreds of friends, but I'm the one on the list. I'm the guy that got to go in there and pray with Pretty Lou and see him fighting the cancer and this. And so it's tough for me. People don't really realize in all one day's work, I'll come do this. I'll go to an old lady I know's funeral after, pay for the funeral, then go and make a song later, and like, you know, my life is crazy. So it's almost like I'm a hip hop evangelist at all times, though. Like, this is every single day. You know what I mean? Where I gotta, you know, I can't just be Fat Joe the rapper. I gotta go and heal the people in a strange way.
And you got a new business venture too, right? Like, that's part of.
Why fight the time when you can rewind
That's a great
the time?
picture of you.
Now listen,
Rewind
Jay Shetty,
it.
let me tell you something. You don't need it now, but one day you might need it.
I'm going to be very happy about it.
And if your wife tells you she loves the salt and pepper, she's lying. You got to stay in the game.
Got it.
Guys, why fight the time when you can rewind the time? It's Rewind It. It's the #1 product. We have it in Sally's Beauty. It's the #1 product, man or female. And so we got rid of the stigma. We got Travis Kelce on the box. We got Tyson Beckford, one of the biggest supermodels in the world. We got DJ Khaled. I mean, Giancarlo Novella, famous guy. And so, you know, I've been, the one thing you can bully me or clown me for is I hate white hair. And so since I was 27, I was getting white hair, and I've been using all these other products. Some of them will burn my skin. Some of them, if it ain't true to color. If I get a brown, it'll look purple. You know, they clown me on Twitter. Joe got the shoe polish on again. So I wanted to create a product along with my sister Carolyn Aronson and Jeff Aronson. They own It's a Tense. They own women's hair products. This is the $1 billion company. So we're best friends. We've been on vacation with each other for 15, 16 years. My wife and her are best friends. And I was like, yo, Carolyn, let's make a product. And it's moving. It's gone.
That's dope, man.
I think in another year to be everywhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no one wants to get bullied for having purple hair or like some orange
and
color.
We got to
on
get
their
rid of the
face.
stigma. Even me, when I used to go in there, I used to sneak in there almost like I was buying my wife some. When your wife tells you to buy some tampons, that's like recon, bro. You diving through the aisles, you rolling on the floor. You don't want nobody to see you. You go up to the counter, CVS, you like, yo, get me out of here. It's the same thing with hair coloring, with men's hair coloring. Nobody wants to know. And but we getting rid of the stigma of it because men were really ashamed to say they were doing it. But I had some artists I stepped to get on the box, and they were like, yeah, I don't do that. I'm like, bro. Like, yes, you know, you fully rewind. Like, like you gotta be kidding me, bro. You don't use the product. Like, you know, you 50-something, your lines are like this, that. Like, yo, bro, all right.
You can tell.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, you can tell.
I'm like a detective. One thing I could tell is, not in a terrible way. You do what you want. It ain't my fault. But I could tell Botox, and I could tell men's hair coloring. I just don't know why. I could just tell. Like, I'm like, all right. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, let's keep it real. If you 60 years old looking 30, you're doing something. You know, it is what it is. You know, Smokey Robinson, the living legend, the icon, he looked 23 still. You know, I mean, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm saying, you know, that's what he feels. And, you know, he wants to look young till he dies. I respect that. I ain't got no problem with that.
Yeah, for you as well. I mean, you went on your whole weight loss journey.
Yeah, I had
like
to.
that.
I'd be dead by now.
What was that? Like, why did that become
The first thing was Big Pun died.
Yeah.
Right from a heart attack, 20-something. You know, only people I knew that got that died were like murdered, and being 27 and dying because of your weight, that was like half the journey. Because I was 480 pounds at one time.
Yeah.
That was half of it. Then I had another friend who was another guy, 20-something years old. He passed away of a heart attack. I went to the funeral. He had a daughter like me. He was funnier than me. And when I sat there, it was almost like an episode of Ebenezer Scrooge, where he take you back to look at your life. So I looked at it. I was like, oh, this is me next. So I had no choice but to, work out, eat right, stay off the carbs. I went through all that.
How did you set all those habits up? Because those are hard things. Like people struggle. Like
You
this is
gotta
a struggle.
live.
Like
You gotta live.
it was just pure motivation from that.
Yeah, you want to live. People tell me all the time, you're not so fat, Joe. I just say, I just want to live. And so this world is so beautiful that I just want to live. And every day I wake up, I call some of my friends. I'm like, you believe we got another day? You believe we got another day? And so I just want to live. So health is wealth. And as you could be, I got a friend, he caught a terrible infection, right? This guy's a billionaire. He got a boat bigger than this building. He got everything he want. But we thought he was dying for like a year and a half. They couldn't find this infection. He got skinny. He was just IVs on him, this and this and that. And so thank God he snapped back and they found it, what it was. But I mean, that's the true meaning of health is wealth. If you ain't got your health and you got all the money in the world, you can smile at it all you want. But if you ain't got your health, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah. How long did it take you? Like, what was that process
these
like?
are years, bro.
Years,
This was years. I used to, at one time, when I was really on it, I used to work out maybe 3 times a day.
3 times a day?
3 times a day. I was like addicted. And if I flew to Vegas to do a show, I'd go straight in the gym. I wouldn't need a cracker. There was that one time I wouldn't need a cracker. I wouldn't need I was just like, and every day with a trainer, my man, his name was the Mind Muscle Connection. He'd be like, Mind Muscle Connection. And he would come and do all that stuff, pushing the 18-wheeler tire in the middle of 90-degree weather, box, I did it all, and then eventually you learn how to eat. Because at the end of the day, it's the carbs that's killing us. So it's bread when you eat it. Say you take a salty pretzel, it turns into sugar. Rice turns into sugar. Pasta turns into sugar. All these things you don't know. And I've met people who say, I'm diabetic. And they like, I don't even eat sweets. But they don't realize that these carbs they're eating is actually going in your body as sugar. And so I had to teach myself how to eat. Now I every time I eat defensively. If I eat bad, it's because I really want to eat bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm
the same.
defense. So I'm like, if I get a rice and chicken. So yesterday I bought it was kind of whack too, a yellow rice with lobster, right? And then I brought it to my house. I ate the lobster and might have touched the rice, like tip, the whole thing in the garbage. If I eat sushi, the least rice in the world, don't try to bring the rice, this, that. Everything I'm eating is defense. Everything is defense. Everything is like, try to stay away from the carb. Try to stay away from the carb. Get the chicken with the salad.
It's amazing transformation, man.
It's like the way you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody here brushes their teeth.
Twice a day.
As soon as you wake up, twice a day. As soon as you wake up, you got to brush your teeth, right? That's number one, right? And so that's how I eat.
Yeah.
Now I eat like, even if I went and got a sandwich right now, somehow I would eat one part of the bread and the 3 parts of the bread is still there, but I ate the meat with the thing. That's how we do, right, Rich? That's how we do all the time.
No,
You
it's an
gotta eat
amazing
defensively.
transformation, man.
Thank you, brother.
It's amazing. It's inspiring for others as well.
That's
I feel like,
weird, right?
Making
because
it possible.
I still feel like me. So even though I slimmed up, I still feel like the same person. So when people tell me all the time, yo, Joe, you look, I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, I'm still, what's that movie? Hallow Shao?
Yeah. Shallow
I'm Shallow Hal, man. I look in the mirror, I'm still Fat Joe. I'm like, yo, this, they be like, yo, you lost weight, not so Fat Joe. I be like, yo, what's these guys talking about? I'm Shallow Hal, Yeah, it's crazy.
It's great. Joe, it's been such a
Thank
joy
you so
talking to you,
much,
man.
brother.
Thank you for your time, your
Appreciate
energy.
it, man.
We end every episode with a final 5. These have to be answered in 1 word to 1 sentence maximum. As a poet and a rapper, I'm sure this is very doable. But Fat Joe, these are your fast final 5. So question 1 is, what is the best advice you've ever heard or received?
Don't stop. Keep going. And that's from DJ Khaled.
Nice.
Don't stop. Keep going.
They want you to stop.
They want you to stop. He's a guy. I tell him, and you can't impress Khaled. So if I tell him, yo, I just got a TV show, don't stop. Keep going.
Nice.
Keep going.
Nice.
So he keeps me motivated.
I like that. That's dope. Okay, second question. What's the worst advice you've ever heard or received?
I would say the worst advice I ever received was drugs are good. Yo, these drugs are good. Nah.
Not worth it.
I'm good.
Question number 3. If they make a movie about your life, who's going to play you?
It's going to be a young, handsome Spanish Latino guy for sure. And I'm going to pick him out. I'm going to make sure this guy is fly as hell. But I don't believe we have one out there yet. I don't believe the guy who plays Fat Joe is a star yet. It'll be somebody will do a casting.
They're not born yet.
They're born, but we don't know them yet. They're walking around Brooklyn. They're walking around L.A. They're walking around Chicago, aspiring artists, but they haven't been on TV or movies yet. I've never seen a guy on TV and say, oh, this Fat Joe.
Yeah. All right. Question number 4. When you were referring to movies that it feels like your life has been sometimes, what's a movie that's already out there that you think is the best depiction of what it was like?
I'm a movie guy.
Yeah, I'm a movie guy too. That's what I'm asking. I love movies. Bronx Tale?
Godfather.
Okay. Go
And
straight
right
there.
now I'm at that Michael Corleone phase. You know what I'm saying? I got to move in silence now. This is tricky out here. I got to be Michael right now. It's so crazy. Just last week, I was thinking to myself, I said, all right, now this is Michael Corleone time. Like, it's just so wicked out there. You got to think like Michael. You know what I mean? So I would say Godfather. But Bronx Tale is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. I learned a lot from Bronx Tale. I got shot one time. I know we can't go into that now. We did. But the guy owed me $10 and I kept harassing him. And the guy was so scared of me that he came back and shot me out of fear. So you see in the movie Bronx Tale when Claudio kept chasing the guy that owed him $2. And Sonny, the Don, told him, yo, you got rid of him for $2. I should have learned that in the Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
So I love movies because I always learn so much from movies.
Yeah, nice. And 5th and final question. If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
One law that everybody else, it would be give back to the less fortunate. I got friends that are billionaires. I got a friend.
It's a great
I can't tell you who he is. He's bigger than everything, bigger than rap and everything. This guy's big. His backyard is the beach. Right? He has like maybe a $200 million house and the backyard is the beach. Guy published over 60 books. You read his books. And he told me, he looked at me, he said, man, you too generous, man. I'm like, what? It says the guy with $1 billion? He says, I'm not like you. I'm not as good as you. I see how you always giving back and all that. He says, I'm not. He's like, nah, I don't give back. He said, you know what? When I die, my grandchildren, I got them all college. That's it. They're not getting my money, I'm like, wow. So I would tell everybody to give back, have a kind heart, give back to the less fortunate. If you ain't got nothing to give back your time. Whatever you can do for your community, you need to do that, man. And try to mentor the youth. Always try to tell them the right thing.
I've been seeing you a lot in Washington, D.C. lately as well. So tell us about what's going on there.
Just fighting health price transparency. I teamed up with an organization, Power to the Patients. One of my friends is the founder, Kevin Mora. He's been there. He's been my friend for over 20 years. So he told me what's going on in America and how many people. Is over 100 million Americans in debt due to health pricing. It's 100 million, ain't but 300 million, right? So that's 1 in 3. And people losing their families. You know, when you go to the hospital, you sign over a waiver that says if you can't pay, they could take your property. And, you know, I read up on this Amish family where they had a granddaughter and she needed a kidney. And they were afraid to take her to the hospital and sign the papers because they were afraid of losing the farm to get her a kidney.
Wow.
And, you know, people are scared to go to the doctor because of the price.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, you walk around New York, you see people limping, people just getting worse and worse because what do? You send your kid to college or you fix your leg.
Yeah.
Or you know, and this is going on like crazy. And, you know, there's actually a law out there that says you got to enforce and you got to tell people the price when they go in there. And for some reason, they're not enforcing this. Mm. And so we're bringing awareness. So I've been going to Hollywood. Yeah, that's what Washington is sort of like Hollywood, right? So I've been going to Washington dealing with all the politicians trying to get a law passed. And Senator Braun and Bernie Sanders came up with a law where finally says you have to tell us the prices, not estimates. Estimates are BS. We want to know what it is. And, you know, what does that do for you? It creates competition. Say I got to go somewhere, I got to get an MRI. I pull up my 3 favorite hospitals. One of them is, believe it or not, one of them will be $1,200. One of them will be $28,000. One of them will be $7,800. Of course, I'm going with the $1,200. But it makes competition.
Yeah.
Now they can charge you whatever they want.
Yeah.
So shout out to Powers to the patients and all the politicians. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, that's needed. I mean, I moved from London to the US 8 years ago. And in London, we have the National Health Service, the NHS, which is available for everyone for free. But then you have private healthcare if you want like a particular level of service.
You want a suite looking at Big Ben.
Totally, yeah.
That costs you more.
But that's the funny thing. The private healthcare in England is actually private in the sense of it's an elevated experience. Whereas private healthcare here is like, even when I moved here and I was paying like $5,000-$10,000 a year.
Oh man.
You're like, it doesn't.
And you don't even get nothing.
Yeah, you don't get anything.
Every time I go for a prescription,
you still gotta
it's
pay.
like I'm still paying the same thing.
Yeah, I
it's
get
all
it.
a gimmick.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's all a gimmick, man. And so we bringing awareness to it and shining.
That's brilliant, man. No, that's really important. Yeah, I feel that.
Very.
We need to find a way to. It's so sad to see how many people are on the streets or struggling because they can't afford their medical.
It's a fact.
It's painful. Thank you for doing that. That's amazing. How can people support, help? How can they learn actually? Like, how can people
follow Power to the Patients? We
Power to
always
the Patients.
informing on the Instagram, on social media, and we out there, man. We out there. We're in their faces. We're gonna get the job done and help the people. This is another way of, helping the people, using my voice. I used to say I'm a voice for the voiceless, but now I say I'm a voice for those unheard. Mm. Meaning there's people, they got a voice.
They're shouting, but you can't hear them.
You can't hear them.
Well said. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
It's all love.
Grateful to you, man. Thank you so
Shetty,
much.
we did it, baby.
We did it finally.
Finally. It's in the books.
It's in the books. If this is the year that you're trying to get creative, you're trying to build more, I need you to listen to this episode with Rick Rubin on how to break into your most creative self, how to use unconventional methods that lead to success, and the secret to genuinely loving what you do. If you're trying to find your passion and your lane, Rick Rubin's episode is the one for you.
Just because I like it, that doesn't give it any value. Like, as an artist, if you like it, that's all of the value. That's the success comes when you say, I like this enough for other people to see it.